All right, keep this dude's face in mind as we go through this Ubisoft video. So my predictions for Ubisoft are, in 3 months, they'll announce that they're cutting 20%, 30% of the workforce. 6 months, they'll announce that they're restructuring to utilize the best resources, which is their people, the human resources, to match the expectations of the consumer and give them the best product. It's just a bunch of corporate doublespeak, which means that they're continuing to make woke products that are not selling. And a year from now, there'll be some equivalent of modern company out of business bankruptcy, which could be literally they disappear or someone buys them, something like that, or the stockholders take over, or they get rid of the top management. There'll be a massive restructuring a year from now, because you can't continue to make woke games that don't sell before you businesses money out and money in. And eventually the money out has to balance the money in. You can only run on negative for so long before something has to happen. And a year from now, you'll see that something happen. And you look at them and go, all you guys have to do is stop making woke games, whether it's Disney, Ubisoft, video games, comics, whatever. And they look at you and they go, sir, that's a bridge too far. You're asking the impossible. And they will take a company and make it go out of business before they stop making woke games. And I know how crazy that sounds, but look around at all the movies and the video games they're making that are simply not selling, and their rationale is in about 2 paragraphs, and it's absolutely fantastic to hear how they talk about things. They're talking about all this diversity woke stuff. This was okay in 2020 with the Black Antifa riots for about 6 months, and then it was over. And they don't realize that the fan base, the customer base, it's 5 years. It's 4.5 years after that. People have way stopped caring about the Floyd stuff. They don't give 2 shits about it anymore. That is all over. So Stevy, monetization director, was whining about Assassin's Creed Shadows and sales of Star Wars Outlaws were softer than expected. Assassins hasn't come out yet, and so they delayed it. Now here's the thing: who buys video games? White Asian men. So who's the best people to make video games? White and Asian men. So if you have a company that doesn't have those people there, other groups of people or sexes, you want to get rid of them, as well as your diversity department. Like, just fire them right off the bat, and legally you're going to have to find some workaround for that. But you know what I'm saying? Do you want to sell your widget to the white and Asian men? They go, no. We want to open up the audience to the POCs, female, and BLTs. I go, but that audience doesn't exist. Oh, but they'll come. If we make it, they'll come. You've been doing that for 10 years. Oh, then we'll just go bankrupt. And that's where we are. So he announced a press release that the company, or Ubisoft, announced that they're probably going to break even. Okay, well, you're supposed to make a profit. Can you stop making woke games? It's like you're speaking a foreign language to them. So what happens with affirmative action hiring is, behind the screen, in front of the screen, or with Hollywood or with video games, it's the same thing. If you don't hire based on merit, you're not getting the best. And with people like this means you're going to have cost overruns and delays. And what ultimately happens is, we're going to have to hire some white and Asian men to fix it. Can we keep them in the background like a ghostwriter and just pay extra? Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So he released a social media post, and he says, I rarely post. And notice the word choice, the lexicon, and the syntax, the repetition, and the emphasis on words, as if what he's writing is of great personal gravitas. I rarely post on social media, but today I am. I'm sad, ashamed, and sad. The gaming industry is rough at the moment. We all know it, but seeing how gamers react on social media, wishing ill fate to companies and people alike, is sad, and not only towards Ubisoft. Even though it's always a vocal minority that expresses themselves on social media, I was hurt and ashamed to be part of this community, he added. So he's talking about, and as there's another Mary Sue article that's on kind of a sim point. They're talking about Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, Yellow Flash, Ryan Cannell, all those channels that are like over 500,000 followers on social media. And if they could, if they could kick them off YouTube, they would. There was a demonetization push to try to get them, demonetized, and all because they're criticizing this woke cancer. You can get them off YouTube. It's not going to change your sales whatsoever, because fundamentally your product is woke cancer. So then he referred to his fellow developers. What's even more revolting is seeing the same comments from people within the industry. Oh, so they're having some final self-awareness, like, oh, maybe this woke stuff isn't working, because the company's not going to be here in 14 months if we don't turn this stuff around. It's like they just don't want to hear that, because they're in an echo chamber like you wouldn't friggin' believe. Top of exposing yourselves as a clearly non-decent human being, you're affecting thousands of employees that are already impacted by all the hate, despite doing their best to deliver incredible experiences. That's the problem. You're not delivering incredible experiences. You're delivering woke, diversity, feminism, and BLT, and that's all cancer, and the audience doesn't want to pay for it. How can you wish a company to fail simply because they don't cater to you? We're all in the same boat. Please stop spreading hate. We should all uplift each other instead of bringing each other down. Just make what the audience wants. That shouldn't be rocket science. So they're doing their woke ideology, and this girl, Eve Guy Lamo, says, we're an entertainment-first company, broadest audience. Our goal is not to push any specific agenda. Bullshit. Committed to creating games everyone can enjoy. That means woke. Broadest audience, and everyone means woke. You're selling to white and Asian men. That's 95% of your audience. All you have to do is market to them, and you'll be successful. This other statement from Masama Rashasika says, he's the president of diversity, globalist diversity and inclusion. Oh, you're fired, buddy. And that whole department is gone. We'll put that money into cocaine and hookers for the office party. Putting diversity and inclusion at the heart of everything you do provides an environment employees can thrive, building open-minded communities where players can connect and creating games that reflect the diversity of the world we live in. Yeah, people hate diversity, and they hate feminism, and they hate wokeism, and the BLT stuff is really only popular within the BLT community. No offense. Here's how it works. It's I don't know the mathematical phrase for this, but if you put one thing in, you exclude the other. So how it works is, if you have games where sexuality is not mentioned, or the characters are all just straight, men and women, some romance in the background, you're going to attract 99% of the audience. If you have BLT themes where there's two guys in the game, you're going to lose 90% of the audience. One will the gay community will watch straight stuff and buy straight stuff. The straight community will not buy gay stuff, and that's the community breakdown is like, I don't know, 5 to 95%, something like that. So that's just the way of the world. And you can call the audience bigoted and istophobic and intolerant and to the marginalized and oppressed sodomy and monkeypox gang. Yeah, okay. I mean, those are words. You said words. That's great. But I labeled you. Yeah, you're not getting $75 to watch like some diversity monkeypox experiment. That just doesn't sell to the audience. So we want to become a more diverse and inclusive company, improving, trying new ideas, long-term commitment. We'll tackle passion, dedication we bring to our games. Most creative inclusion, diverse and team across the field, representation, more inclusion, equal access to opportunities for everyone. Yeah, okay. So I mean that like a year and a half from now, you're going to be out of business, right? No. People will between now, because there's a business calculus. You can look at money in and money out for these companies and go, okay, well, in 11 months you're going to be out of money, and in 13 months you're going to have to. You're not going to be able to meet the payments that you have outgoing money. So you're going to, like, people are not going to stay and work for free. You're going to have people are going to be one way or another. They're not going to be working there anymore because you're not going to be able to pay them. And they look at you and they go, no. Between now and 13 months from now, the audience will develop. You go, but the chart you have trending over the past 5 years is steadily trending downwards. And as you increase the wokeness, you lose more of the audience. And they have no choice but to look you straight in the face and go, oh, but we'll get an audience between now and bankruptcy. But you're not. That's not what the numbers show. And that's not like the cultural zeitgeist. I used to mispronounce that word. Thanks for correcting me. Doesn't predict that either. And like, they don't have an answer to that, because ultimately, when the head of diversity and inclusion and equity gets fired from this company because the company dissolves, they just go elsewhere. Schwab will appoint them somewhere else. So all these buzzwords: increasing representation, access to resources, authentic inclusion, gaming experience, inclusion for our teams, Expand. It's a bunch of BLT horseshit. As the inclusion games and content team, well, that shouldn't even be in a department, works to identify opportunities to tell inclusion stories. Okay, I mean, you've said inclusion like 30 times so far. Reflecting how to provide frameworks, best practices for authentic queer representation. Well, like I said, 99% of the audience doesn't want any queer representation in games, so why are you putting it in there? Because this is a religion to them. So the senior manager for inclusion games, why do you have any employees? Much less more than one. So they want inclusions that don't label physical traits or link voices to particular bodies. You mean male and female, a masculine and feminine form? Like reality is offensive to these people. Help production company people connect with experts who are cultural insiders from the gay community. You mean like gay grifters, like Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn types, but black girl gamers and Sweet Baby. You should give Joe Glass a call. I hear he's looking for something to do. So they're working with some university as well as members of GLAAD, which is some kind of other gay group, to make the games diverse, queer representation, experiences, and identities that are not limited to one character. I mean, you're in a hole and you just continue to digging. Oh, and then they discriminate against men. Anyway, so like I said, my prediction is 3 months from now, fire 20% of the workforce. 6 months from now, announce a restructuring, and then a year from now, they're out of business or bought out by somebody else because you can't continue to make things that lose money. Now, like, you can kind of compare this to something like Disney, which is doing the same thing. The difference with Disney is they had a peak in 80s and 90s where they have so much money coming in from merchandise sales from old IPs that they can't continue to lose money for the next several years. Ubisoft, I think, is in a different category, as well as some, like Amazon can do the same thing. They can make Rings of Power and lose $500 million. It doesn't touch them at all. They don't care. And probably a bunch of other companies can go that route as well. But video game companies, I don't know if they have enough old IPs, if the old Assassin's Creed are bringing in enough money to subsidize new losses. And eventually, like, the shareholders look at this and go, you've been losing money for 3 years straight, and it's tied to these woke games. Why are you doing this? Like, why we're gonna have to have a shareholder vote and some kind of proxy vote or something, and we have to have a new board. We can't have people who are breaching their fiduciary duty of due care and trust to the shareholders. You're being negligent. You're violating some SEC rules here, and if that happens, that'll happen, and they'll turn it around. But the problem is, like, so much of this corporate is tied into Klaus Schwab with the WEF and BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, and Larry Fink and all that they're all kind of on the same page, because all the West is on the same page with this wokeism. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next episode.